Hi everyone, welcome to day 2 of 7 days of hypermobile core strength. My name is Eva and I am very excited to kick off today's session with a little bit of progression from yesterday's class. So yesterday we focused a whole bunch on breath work and just getting you a little bit more access to your diaphragm and just to your midsection generally. Today, I want to progress that into some core activation. And so we're going to go through a couple of different sequences that are, again, very foundational, very baseline, but very important skills for being able to access your core when you're hypermobile. So I want to start off today's class by saying, first and foremost, if anything is not feeling good to you today, please stop and just don't do it, because as always, it is never worth pushing through the nasty, gnarly kind of pain just to say you did something. On top of that, we are going to talk about a couple of different pelvic positions today and spinal positions. So today we are going to work through some tucked pelvis, we're going to work through some neutral, we're also going to work through a little bit of extension, and extension is when you are actually like swooping your back the other way. It's almost like the little booty pop, but we're going to do it all laying flat on our back, so it's going to be very supported. So with that introduction, we are going to get started. You guys can join me flat on your back. Just like yesterday, if you need any specific support so that you feel better laying on the ground, please pause this and go grab them now. But we are going to start much like we did yesterday with a little bit of breath to just open things up. Once you get settled on the floor, let's just breathe normally. Inhales and exhales, and we'll start with just 3. And 2. And 1 more. And now to open things up, let's use those same techniques we did yesterday. Can you pop your hands just around the lower ribs, right where the diaphragm is sitting? And can you breathe into your thumbs and fingers? Let's do it. Inhale. And exhale. And again, inhale. And exhale. And as you breathe, I want you to imagine your diaphragm is a balloon filling up with air. And you expand that balloon 360 degrees all the way around. And then we decompress it all the way around. As you breathe for maybe 3 more, let's just take note of where the body is laying on the mat. Any spaces of tension that you want to breathe into for 2 more. And let's go 1 more. Beautiful job, guys. Okay, so the purpose of this breath work was to get us access and more motion through the midsection of our body. Now we need to get activated. So I want to do 2 different series to just get the core muscles kicked on. What we're going to do to get this process started is keep your hands around your waistline. We're actually going to go a little bit lower than the diaphragm this time. Right where that kind of like dip in your waist would be. You're going to just pop your hands there so long as it's comfortable to you. You're going to inhale just as we were. And on your exhale, elongate your exhale and try to pull your waistline away from your hands. And then inhale, release that sensation. Expand the abdominals 360 degrees. And then exhale, elongate that exhale and start to feel that sensation of just activation in the core. You're starting to feel things almost flex a little bit. Now for the moment, I'm not going to cue too much about what your spine should be doing, neutral pelvis, tucked pelvis. Just get things going, and then we're going to get a little bit more technical. Let's go again. In breath. Breathe into your hands, expand the abdominals. And then exhale, and we're going to exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then inhale, release it. And let's go again. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And inhale. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2. We're going to do 2 more rounds before we add on. And inhale. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go one more. Make any little shifts. And exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful job, guys. Relax. Okay, hopefully you were able to feel a little bit more just connection into the core, activation. We weren't getting too technical with that one. It was just about feeling those muscles. So let's get a little bit more technical now. We're going to do the exact same breath patterning, a big inhale and an exhale for a 5 count. The next time we do this, I want you to imagine you have a grape underneath your low back. And the low back is right here above the pelvis. It is not up behind the ribs. So you have a grape underneath your low back. And on the exhale, you're going to just put a soft pressure against that grape. You're just trying to squish the grape down against the floor. You're not trying to mash the grape into wine, so I don't want to see this massive, intense brace. I want to see this softness of exhaling to bring the lower spine down. You're just trying to pop the grape. And then we inhale to release that. So that's the motion we want, down and up through the low back. Let's now do some breath with it. If the hand cues are helpful to you, pop the hands back around your waist. If not, don't worry about it. In breath. Out breath, pop the grape for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In breath, release the grape. Just a little bit. And exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, release the grape. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale to release the grape. Pop your hands on top of your abdomen now, on top of the pelvis. And exhale, feel the pelvis, the pelvic floor sink down, pull inward as you try to pop the grape. Something that very commonly happens when we are trying to go into this pelvic tuck and activate the pelvic floor muscles is people will kind of actually puff the abdominals upward. And I don't know if you guys can see, but it makes this little like triangle shape. That is actually not what we want. And it's a little more subtle as you inhale. It's a little more subtle to exhale and get those pelvic floor muscles to pull inward. I have no problem telling you, I get stuck right about here. So I'm gonna really focus on that. And then inhale to release. And exhale to really pull the spine down, pop the grape. Feel that connection of the low back, the pelvis tucks just a little bit. And then inhale. Let's go again. We're gonna try not to squeeze your butt too much here, guys. All right, we don't wanna make this a really glutey situation right now. We wanna get the core involved. And inhale, so maybe, just like me, you take the hands to the top of the abdomen. And exhale. Let's go 2 more. releasing the grape, and exhale to pop the grape. Feel the pelvic muscles. There we go, a little bit better. They go inward. And let's go one more. Bring everything down to the mat. And go ahead and relax. And now relax wherever feels neutral to you. And maybe that feels a little different than we first started. When I first started this, I felt like I had very little space, like I was just kind of stuck in a tucked position. And now I actually feel like I have a little bit more just natural space under my low back. So how are you guys feeling? Hopefully pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna do one more sequence here. This is arguably going to be the most challenging sequence because it's kind of counterintuitive. Right now, we've been focusing on activating the abdominal wall, activating the core muscles on the exhale. And we've really only been focused on that exhaling contraction. Well, intra-abdominal pressure needs us to be able to also maintain a sense of activation when we're inhaling as well. We need to be able to maintain the sense of control and pressure through the core on the inhale. Oftentimes what happens is hypermobile people do these really big, expansive inhales because our connective tissue lets us do that, but it's not very stable, and it can often make us feel like we can't actually take a full breath. And that's when people just kind of start to like spill the abdominals forward. There's a word for that, and I'm kind of blanking on what it is right now. Distend. We distend forward. So we want to create an inhale that's not a distension, just kind of letting everything get all flappy and floppy. We want to maintain control. So I encourage you guys to use this hand cue again. And we're going to try this together. I'm going to come up with some cues for you guys. Actually, let's start it this way. Blow all the air out of your body. Don't turn blue, just get pretty empty here. You feel that contraction at the end. See if you can maintain that sense of tension as you inhale. The first inhale might be tiny, that's fine. Let's go. Inhale. Oh, that does not feel natural, but we're going to do it anyway. And then exhale. Can you maintain that tension? And then inhale. Maintain that sense of connection and tension through the diaphragm. And then exhale. Depending on where your hypermobile body is compensating, you may feel this in your neck, and I need you to relax your neck for me. Let's go again. Inhale, maintain this tension, even if it's a tiny breath. And then exhale. If you're not feeling it in your neck, but you're feeling your pelvis, do me a favor, try to relax the pelvis, try to relax the hips against the floor. It's a lot to ask, I know. Take breaks if you need it. Inhale, let's go again. Maintain this tension. Exhale. And so everything now should feel like that balloon in your diaphragm. We're expanding the balloon. And then we're pushing against the balloon. Don't worry too much about moving your spine or popping the grate. Just maintain that connection. In breath. And out breath. We're going to do two more, then we're going to start that popping the grape situation as well. Take breaks as needed. In breath. And out breath. And in breath. And out breath. Beautiful job. Okay, next in breath, you're taking pressure away from the grape. Your low back is lifted off the floor. You're breathing into the balloon. As you out breath, you're popping the grape. Just a little squish. You're maintaining tension through the abdominals. And then again, maintain that tension, that balloon tensile feeling as you lift the low back. I don't think that made a whole lot of sense. So just maintain that sense of tension. And then exhale. Pop the grape under your back. Feel that abdominal activation.
pulling you down to the floor, that sense of connection. Inhale. Release the grape. Maintain that tension in the abdominals. And then exhale. Maybe you're getting some longer breaths. That was definitely a longer breath on my part. And then inhale. I'm going to do 2 more. Exhale. If you're gassed, go ahead and just relax and stop. And then inhale. And I'm going to do the last one here. Exhale. And then inhale and relax. Wow's a surprising amount of work, right? Take a second just to relax. See where your body is laying on the floor now. Okay, I want to say one thing before we end the day. Tension is not the same as grippiness, because grippiness is that sensation of being stuck. I'm gonna come on up and you guys can join me whenever you're ready, or you can lay flat. Take your time. Grippiness is that sensation of being stuck, of dispatterned movements kind of locking you or holding you in place. In this sense, tension, I really wanted it to feel like activation. So I want to make sure, I don't know if I said that throughout this lesson, but that is an important differentiator. So hopefully you guys watching this are still here with me. But yes, with that being said, how do you feel? I feel way more upright, actually. Let's see how we feel. You guys can check in laying on the floor. You guys can join me up and seated. Just like find. The breath is good. How are you guys feeling? Was that complicated? Was that tricky? Don't be afraid if it was. When I first learned to do that many, many moons ago, I had no idea what my coach was talking about when he was like, feel the balloon in your abdominals and like pop the grape against the floor using your abdominals. And I was like, I don't even know what language you're speaking to me right now. And especially on that sense of maintaining that last round we did, maintaining tension as you inhale and having to kind of maintain this sense of connection. That is a very important part. Because of that distension factor that I was talking about. And distension basically just means like when your abs kind of like spill out. So hopefully that cue of the balloon made a little bit of sense to you guys. Think about when you're expanding a balloon, you're blowing into it, it doesn't expand floppy, right? It's like you're expanding this thing and it's maintaining tension, it's maintaining pressure around the breath in order to keep the breath or the air inside the balloon. But then when you squeeze the balloon, if the spout is still open, it should be able to just decompress with a relatively even sense of pressure. So that's kind of what I was going with the balloon. If that didn't make sense to you, I apologize. Let me know if there's something that makes more sense to you. But with that being said, I think we're gonna call it there. Tomorrow, we're gonna go into a little bit more kind of advanced principles when it comes to this type of activation. We might also build into a little bit more just like movement type stuff, really just gonna kind of see how we feel. But with that being said, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful. Comment, like it, subscribe to it, all of the things on it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.